Hey everybody, this is Sit Bar, Shelter in Place Bar, your place on the internet to come here, make some good cocktails, and use what you have on hand. This particular cocktail we're doing tonight, my name is Michael Ciccone. This particular cocktail we're doing tonight is, I don't need these, the Black Manhattan. It's contemporary. It's 2 parts whiskey, usually rye, 1 part sweet vermouth, a fortified red wine, originally from Italy. Red wine, brandy, spices, yum, a little bit of bitterness in there, super useful. And then bitters. Okay, why is this useful? Because you can use any whiskey. You can make a Rob Roy and use scotch, but you can use Irish whiskey, Canadian, Japanese, bourbon, American blended whiskey. Everything's fine. Everything is fair game. For the sweet vermouth, here's where the Black Manhattan goes. I got this. You can use amaro. Now amaro, I'm going to use amaro Nonino, one of my favorite, is both a wonderful gift and it is wonderfully flavorful. It's a liqueur as opposed to vermouth, and it is usually bitter. Amaro means bitter. And indicative, classic examples of amaro are Jaigermeister, which is my favorite example to bring about, to wheel out. But I'm going to use amaro Nonino, and we're going to use the same ratio. What's great about this, when it comes to the bitters department, the actual bitters, the aromatic bitters, use whatever you have. Use it judiciously, 1 dash at a time. Make sure it complements the cocktail, and then add more if you like it. Why is this good for the holidays? It's shelf stable. Make it right now for Thursday, and Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Big batch. Go crazy. Never goes bad. Super strong. Just sealed, airtight container, on the counter, good to go. If you're going to ladle it out over ice, cut it with 15 to 20% water. If you're going to put it in mason jars and give it as gifts, either tell people to shake or stir it, or dilute it 15 to 20% water, say put it over ice. It's going to be fantastic. And so that's what's really fun about this cocktail. It is potent though. As my dear friend Mika can attest, when she served Harvest Manhattans, another Manhattan variation, for her Thanksgiving, people got schnockered. So you want to pace yourself. Make enough so that everyone gets 1 cocktail and then move on to beer, wine, or something lighter. Okay? A flutter, is it edge, like E-D-G-E, or edge? Question. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a cocktail. Garnish and glass, garnish and glass, garnish. We'll talk about it in 1 second. The glass is, of course, a beautiful Martini glass. And we're putting some ice in there to melt, which is not going to happen because it's a little bit cold here. I'll put some more ice. This garnish, though, was not years, it was months in the making. The second one, edge, so it's 2 syllables, edge. Edge, welcome. These are cherries that we got at the farmer's market, and boop. What I did was I took their heart out, and then I put them in a cup of bourbon and a cup of sugar. I made sure that was dissolved, so it was just a solution, and then I put the cherries in there, and that's it. Sealed, fridge. So far, they haven't fermented, so I think they're going to be fine for the rest of the year. I might be into my new cherry jam. Are they better than the ones I like to buy on Amazon? I'll tell you that in a second. So, cocktail. I like bourbon. I'm using basically I'm using exactly what I learned at Alembic from Kat. This was one of the opening cocktails when Kat and Mika took over Alembic, and so I use bourbon. Especially for me, I like a big bourbon hug, 2 ounces. Rye is spicy, rye is great, but a big fat bourbon, nice and round, really, really does it for me. So, 2 to 1. 2 ounces, 1 ounce of amaro Nonino, or Jaigermeister, or Montenegro, or Ramazzotti. Averna was, I think, the original for this cocktail, this variation, Averna. So, whiskey, Averna, bitters. I'm using black walnut bitters. Yeah, I can use Angostura. I've got them. I'm a pro. But I'm going to use black walnut because this is what I learned from Kat, and I love it. So 3 dashes. 1, 2, 3. Garnish is ready. Glass is chilling. No stress. It's the holidays. No stress holidays. The stress is done. The decision has been made. The die has been cast. So just move on with it all. Let's have a good time. We need to stir. If you're doing this for your friends and you want to practice stirring, it's a perfect opportunity to do each one individually. So you can spoon, dominant hand, pinch, thread through my middle finger and ring finger. Bowl against the glass at all times. I pull towards me with my middle, push, ring, pull, push, until it just goes around in circles. The bowl of the spoon always against the glass. A table should be holding this up, and when I'm holding it, I should be charming my guests. Sorry about that, not dropping them as I did you. Hold it at the top so you don't warm it as you're trying to chill it. And if you have these big chunkin' ice cubes like I do, it's going to be like 70, 80 times. Eche, yes, you can shake if you'd like. My friend Tom Macy has done a study, and he found that shaking a martini actually doesn't hurt it, just makes it slightly different. You can absolutely shake. My friend Julia, who was on maybe 2 weeks ago, we made a perfect Manhattan. She shook the crap out of it. It's super fun. There's something about stirring, though, like we have this moment together, right? It doesn't change. So when you're stirring, you have to keep the conversation going because the people are engaged, and just watching someone stir is really boring. And also, the more you can distract them from what you're doing, then you're kind of performing a magic trick. You're a magician. Distracting them, keep them going with a patter, and then when you serve them the drink, you're like, oh, where'd that come from? What's going on? You're like, yeah, that's how it rolls. My hand is starting to get sore, so I think I'm good. Cold, strong, flavor, bitter, velvety mouthfeel. Yummers. Strainer. This ice goes away. And so this can be strain, one hand to strain. This works incredibly well to batch out and keep on hand for yourself. Because it's going to be a long weekend. It's a 4-day weekend, at least for most of us, unless you're working. If you're an essential worker, thank you. Cherry. Oddly enough, the black Manhattan does not look that black. I think it's actually quite lighter than a regular Manhattan. But why I invited you on, when I listed the ingredients in my story, with regular vermouth, if that's all you have on hand, because that's what Sip Bar is all about. Use what you have on hand. 2 parts base spirit, preferably whiskey, whatever kind you got. 1 part vermouth or amaro, or whatever you got, and a couple dashes of bitters. And a quick side note to, this is Manhattan 212. I was trying to get Moscato d'Asti in here, but I couldn't. But I'm going to think about it, and I'm going to get back to you tomorrow, okay? So it's a tricky one. It's like working with Manischewitz. It's a very sweet wine, and so there's no balance there. You can't sub it in for the amaro because there's no bitterness. So hold on. Wow. Such a story. So many things going on. Parsing through all the flavors. Love it. It gets more viscous. No, actually, as you dilute it, it gets a little bit lighter. It never gets airy. That's for shaking. But as you stir it longer and longer, it gets a little bit less viscous because it's more water. Here's the big test. I hope I don't get a bubonic plague. Fresh cherries from the market when they're in season. Pop out their hearts. Put them in a jar. Take 1 cup of bourbon, 1 cup of sugar, stir it until it dissolves the sugar into the bourbon, pour it over the fruit, seal it in an airtight container, stick it in your fridge. You've got cherries for at least half a year. And if you make a lot of them, you can even give them out as gifts, but just make sure they stay refrigerated because I'm not entirely sure they're shelf stable outside. Hey, this has been a lot of fun. Still not, damn it, 9 minutes. I was trying to do 5-minute mixology because it's, but let's do 10-minute mixology. Take care of yourself. Do that something special for yourself, you know? Take the edge off your own life. And then what you want to do is take care of your pod because everyone's going through stuff and they want to take care of everyone else. Wear your mask, 6 feet physical distancing, and happy holidays to everybody. But that's fantastic. Make yourself Manhattan, Jay. Make yourself Manhattan. And what was it? Mask, 6 feet, and wash hands. And lastly, fight racism. There's such a push-pull between racism and misogyny, but women of color are wearing 2 hats, unfortunately, both put upon, and so let's look out for them and make sure they're seen and support them in their endeavors. Anyway, Anti-Racism Daily. Go look it out. They're much more eloquent than I am. Okay, that's it. I'm out. That was 10 minutes. Happy Allies, I will be back tomorrow, 6 o'clock, for 10-minute mixology. And what's happening with that one? I don't know, I haven't figured it out yet, but I will list the ingredients tomorrow in my story, at least 6 hours before the show. And so get them together and make a cocktail with me. Okay? You guys are the best.